welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey and I'm here for my favorite time of the month. It's the Percy Jackson / Heroes of Olympus read along. Before we get into this vlog, I just wanted to apologize for it being late. I have been in an incredibly slumpy ass mood. I didn't want to edit. I think it's apparent in this video that I didn't want to film, so I hope you still enjoy it. I think the points I bring up and the review I have of this book is still good, but I'm going to post this anyways because I want to show myself that I can do it, so enjoy. So as you guys know from the video I posted last month we read The Mark of Athena. This month we are reading The House of Hades. If you haven't read the Heroes of Olympus series, it is essentially a conglomerate of demigods, both Roman and Greek, who come together to kind of defeat Gaia, who is the earth goddess, mother earth thing. And in the last one, Annabeth went toe-to-toe with Arachne, and when they were able to get the statue of Athena that has been missing and stolen by Romans, but it belonged to the Greeks. Now they have that on board the ship. However, when they had stolen it, both Annabeth and Percy have fallen into Hades. Well, not Hades, fallen into like hell, and they are currently there because they are going to meet at the opposite side of the Doors of Death. The Doors of Death was something that Nico brought up in the last book, and it's kind of the only way I think to unite everybody. So Leo, Nico, Hazel, Frank, Piper, and Jason are currently on their way to a town in Greece where the opposite side of the Doors of Death are located, and that is at a temple called the House of Hades. So we have Annabeth and Percy in hell itself, and then we have the other 7 going there to open it, so that way they can, I think, bring all the demons, all the bad gods into where they belong, which is through the Doors of Death. And it has to be opened by both sides and closed on both sides, so that's why they have to be on opposite ends. Currently right now we have already started our sprints. We are currently in the 2nd sprint, but I looked like absolute garbage this morning. I could not start the vlog before we entered, and then I awokened. I was really not awake this morning. So I am currently on page 58. Definitely going to continue. It is reading pretty fast like all of the Riordan books, but this one I think is the most interesting because the most is happening. So something that Haunani and I talk about a lot and that we're very grateful for. Middle grade as an age range in general, but Rick Riordan specifically, is very good at providing readers with what they need to continue reading. So Rick Riordan often repeats important facets of what happened in the last book to keep you updated and to keep you remembering just important things. However, it doesn't just stop there. In the last chapter I had with Annabeth, characters from, well, they weren't really characters, they were like evil people from the last book are brought in to here because they were defeated and sent to Hades. I keep saying Hades, and sent to hell, and now they're coming back. So because these are characters that are from even the Percy Jackson series, Rick Riordan adds like a little faucet of Annabeth remembering what happened, so that way readers are well aware of the situation that Annabeth and Percy are now going to be in, for example. And I really appreciate that greatly because me and Haunani have been reading this for like almost a year. You know, we need those tables a turning up there. But that's it for this update. I'm going to continue reading today. Haunani wants to get at least halfway through this book, and I kind of agree. I kind of want to get at least halfway through this, but we'll see. Who knows? I have lofty goals all the time and I never succeed, so.
And I think I'm going to get rid of my Sarah J. Maas books.
Tea.
I know.
Tell me why. All of them?
I feel like, yeah.
Wait, why?
I'm in the mood for 35s
Perfect.
today. Okay, cool. And we'll start now. I'm probably going to... You think it's too much if I make another espresso? I already had one.
Or what? No, what time is it? 11?
Yeah, it's 12 even.
Well, what time did you have your first one?
11.
Nah, do it.
Okay, I think I need to. I think I deserve it.
Oh no, yeah, I'm definitely planning on a second coffee at like 8. Yeah.
It's been decided.
Sorry, I'm just doing my hair.
That's okay.
Don't mind me. I gotta do it. Yeah. Do not put this in your vlog.
I can't confirm or deny anything of what I will do.
Hello. So as you saw in my last clip, I went to the gym. It is now like 8 p.m. Long wind away from the last talking clip I had because I think I only really updated the vlog during the sprints like one time, which is not good. But I did manage to get to page 202 of the House of Hades in the sprints. And at this point where we're at in the book is they're still separated. So Percy and Annabeth are still in Tartarus, yeah, okay. And everybody else is trying to make their way to the House of Hades in Greece. And it's like, I don't know what else to talk about really, because this is kind of like a traveling novel where basically all the characters are making their way to a destination. So no matter how I update you, the plot is essentially that. So at this point, the Argus with everybody on it, Jason, Piper, etc., are making their way around Italy. So they're going up towards Bologna and Emilia-Romagna, and then coming down to get to Greece, because from the beginning of the book we realized that they can't cross over. So we just had a scene where they meet a minor god in, I don't know if it was Bologna or Venice. I think it was Bologna. Basically, what we learned there is like Frank becomes a hero, I guess, or rather like he embraces his war god father, Ares/Mars, and out of nowhere Frank becomes this like hero a la Hercules, like coming into himself and becoming a hero, and he's like taller and muscular and this and that, but he still like has his own personality, which Hazel appreciates, and Hazel likes that he still kept his like silly good boy personality. Percy and Annabeth are in Tartarus, like I said, and they're with the Titan Bob that Percy became friends with in the Percy Jackson series, I'm pretty sure. So that was a nice callback. There's a lot of callbacks in this book, particularly to the Percy Jackson series, which I think is really cute. We haven't gotten any perspectives from Jason and Piper yet. I think that Jason has a perspective in this book, but it hasn't come up yet, and Jason and Piper haven't really done anything. And the novel's mostly focusing on like Frank and Hazel with Nico, and then Annabeth and Piper. Not Piper, Annabeth and Percy. So that's it so far, like 200 pages in, and it's really, like I said, just traveling about. Me and Haunani are racing to get to page 350 by the end of the day. Not really. But I do want to get to page 350 so that tomorrow I would only really have 250 pages to read. And that would help me like finish it in a nice schedule. I did want to like record a video today, but I'm just exhausted. And I'm happy I went to the gym because it definitely gave me like motivation to continue reading because I was definitely falling asleep. But I think I'm going to save recording a video to tomorrow. So that's it for this update. I will probably update you when I get to page 350 and end the night here. And then we'll see. Well, I look like I've been through war, which is fitting for the Percy Jackson series. Well, the Heroes of Olympus. I'm always mixing these up because Percy's in it. But something I did want to talk about is how much Nico is involved in this book. How we're getting like his backstory and more into his personality. A lot of people don't like Nico. Not that they don't like Nico, but they find him like intimidating and scary. And what I find really interesting is the discussions about Nico in Jason's chapter right now. Still, Jason didn't get why Nico pushed people away, why he never spent much time at either camp, he preferred the dead to the living. And I think that's really interesting because I would also like to know why Nico feels all these things. I kind of relate to that. I don't like when people touch me, get in my space, talk to me about like emotional things, completely relate to Nico. And I think that that's why I like him so much. I like this angry little bean. So that's the first note that I have in the last 75 pages that I've read. Another thing that I'm really enjoying about this book is that they are in this new area of the world. So something that I've continuously through every book enjoyed about the Heroes of Olympus series is how much it's expanded on the world. And particularly in this book, they've visited multiple places. The like first 200 pages, it was specifically in Italy, but now they are in Split, Croatia, which I also think is really interesting. I just like how much the world has expanded and how we're seeing that because Gaia is the god of the earth, it affects all of them. And I'm interested to see that. Jason also had a dream where he was watching Reyna and all of his Roman pals, keeping an eye out on Camp Half-Blood, and Rachel and Grover go there to meet with Reyna to give the message from Annabeth that we spoke about from the beginning of the book. And now Reyna is moving to meet with Jason, I think, in Croatia, which I also think is really interesting. I don't know. I'm really appreciating the Heroes of Olympus series, but this is definitely like a slower book because, like I mentioned before, it is definitely a travel book. So we'll see how the story goes. And I'm going to continue reading and hopefully make it to page 350 tonight. Good morning. So I did not update you last night because I was exhausted, but I got to page 348. I'm not 100% sure like what exactly to update on at this point. We did get perspectives from both Jason and Piper. They did what they needed to do, and I keep mentioning this, but this book is a lot of traveling content, traveling plot. So there's not much I can say because it's a lot of like, here is an obstacle, we have overcome it. Here's an obstacle, we have overcome it. The only interesting thing I would say that we discovered in the last 100 or so pages is that Annabeth is realizing that the prophecy of the seven is not necessarily about just the demigods. She believes that through bonding with a titan and a giant, I believe, they're going to be able to close the doors from the hell side, the Tartarus side. And I think that that's the most interesting revelation. And I'm also interested to see what sort of bonding will occur with the other demigods. Like, I have a feeling that there's going to be a need for a god, a minor god, something along that nature on the like earth side to help close the doors. Oh, something did actually happen with Nico. So Nico and Jason end up fighting with Cupid with arrows, and Cupid is pushing Nico to admit who he has feelings for. Jason thinks it's Annabeth. It turns out that Nico has had a crush on Percy. Hold on, let me just shake my Microsoft Teams. I think that this is amazing to read in a middle grade book. Super important, obviously, for this representation. So I just wanted to interject here because I think that I need to clarify that I believe this inclusion representation is a bit of a double-edged sword in the novel. So while I was reading this scene, I was extremely happy that it is revealed that Nico has crushes on boys. I think it's important for middle grade audiences to see themselves represented in novels. And like I say, Rick Riordan does this a lot, where he represents a lot of identities in his books that not a lot of middle grade authors were doing, especially at the time that his books were written. Not that it was that long ago, but I think the early 2000s had this problem of like lacking representation. The negative side of this that I only started to really think about over the course of the novel and reading other people's reviews is that essentially Nico was outed by Cupid, and the discussions surrounding outing and these kinds of things weren't necessarily happening in the early 2000s. And I think it's something that we're really starting to discuss now. That's why I think that this reveal comes as a double-edged sword. I think it's included and meant to be there to solidify and further a sexuality that not a lot of kids were seeing in their literature, that not a lot of kids do see in their literature, especially not a popular series. So I think that that is important. I think kids deserve to see that. I need to acknowledge that this representation comes at the cost of outing a very, very young child to someone who is barely his friend. So I just wanted to make that clear. I think the Percy Jackson series, the Heroes of Olympus series, has things that children need, has representation that children need, and I really, really appreciate it. I know that the Rick Riordan book that's coming out next year that involves Nico is Nico with another character, so I'm very excited to see how that transpires and if it occurs in this book or the next book and like how that occurs, you know? So that's it for this update. I'm gonna definitely try to finish this today in between whatever I need to do for work. So I will catch you later. Hello, so I wanted to add something fun to the vlog. Last night I read 100 pages of The House of Hades. And I have nothing really more to say. Like, obviously the plot has advanced since then, but no like really big revelations. I feel like they're coming in these last like 120 pages, so I'll be definitely finishing that today. But last night I had to return something at the mall and I got back $55 and then proceeded to spend $155. So I'm going to show you this clothes because I feel like I have to demonstrate what I bought. So the first thing, a plain black sweater. Isn't this interesting? After that, I got the same shirt in brown. I don't know if this is really like demonstrating it to its full potential, but I like the color brown. And then I got the same sweater in this like gray white that I don't really have. I don't really wear like lighter colors ever. And this shirt was so comfortable, so I decided why not take advantage and get another neutral. I also got these little mittens because I'm gonna be taking the bus and stuff, and it gets quite cold in Canada. These are like really thick, surprisingly. So I really wanted them, and they're like neutrals. Obviously, I've been loving neutrals lately, so this is like a colorful neutral. However, the creme de la creme of what I bought last night was obviously shoes. And I bought myself some really nice looking winter boots. Like, look at this. Oh my god, I'm obsessed. And they were 40 bucks, so I'm really happy about it. And they just smell so good. I love the smell of new shoes. And that's it. That is everything I bought yesterday. So did I need to spend money? No. But did I want to? Yes. And that's what's important. Hello. So I'm currently on lunch and I'm reading The House of Hades. And I wanted to bring up something that I think is really interesting that I haven't spoken about. And it's basically Percy and Annabeth's journey through Tartarus to reach the doors of death. So I thought that they were going to close them. They're actually going to open them. And I don't know exactly how that works. I don't quite understand this. It was probably mentioned in the last book and I just forgot about it. But I want to like kind of praise Rick Riordan for the like atmosphere he's created. You definitely feel like you are in this underworld type of thing. And the way that they're describing Percy and Annabeth's journey through it, because they had to become like death mists, it really reminds me of like that scene in Hercules when Hades is like, Meg is in there and you can't save her, and Hercules is like, yes I will, and he jumps into the little thing and he turns into this like ghostly like zombie like type of figure, like that he's dying. And that's how Percy and Annabeth are kind of described. And I think that was really well done on Rick Riordan's part. It's definitely setting the scene. It definitely makes you feel like you are in this realm. But something I also want to talk about is really how Rick Riordan has kept Percy Jackson's personality within his chapters. I definitely would argue that I think the characters that have the most ranging of personalities is Percy and Leo. I think Jason, Piper, Frank, Hazel, they all have very similar personalities, or voices rather. So if their names weren't said, I think it would be difficult to tell them apart. But Percy and Leo are definitely the ones that have personality. They're definitely the ones that are funny. But what I just read in Percy's chapter is Percy talking about how he's kind of having like what I would describe as an existential crisis, because he's in there, he looks like a zombie, he feels like a zombie, and he feels like death. And he's moving towards the doors of death, and he's noticing that he keeps encountering monsters that he thought that he has killed, or he knows that he's killed, but he's realized that because these monsters and these demons are immortal and he is mortal, they will always keep coming back, whereas Percy will eventually die. And I think that this is an interesting discussion that Rick Riordan is bringing up, because obviously like children don't really think about these things, and I'm keen to see how Rick Riordan continues this discussion. So I just wanted to update on that front, because I think the chapters with Annabeth and Percy are the most interesting, and we're gathering the most perspective of the way that they feel about their role in the entire series. Not me fucking crying over this last scene. Oh my god. Hello! So it has been quite some time since I last updated you. Well, not really. I mean, I'm making it seem like it's a week. It's only a couple of hours. As you saw in my last clips, I did finish The House of Hades. So I think it's pretty prevalent from this vlog that as I was reading the book, I found myself getting a little tired and a little bored of this traveling narrative. The demigods would go somewhere, they would battle something, they would go somewhere else, and they would battle something else. And when I was reading some reviews from other readers, a lot of people were saying that they enjoyed this kind of style because it was making the plot move quicker. While when I was reading it, I had to stop myself pretty often. If you've been watching these Percy Jackson Heroes of Olympus vlogs for me, you know that it takes me maximum a day and a half to read any of the books. And this has taken me, what day are we today? Tuesday? This has taken me like 3 days. Granted, it's not like 3 days of reading. It's probably like 3 to 4 sittings, but that's pretty weird for me. However, now that I have finished the book, I have come to appreciate what this book has really taken on. And that's the movement of the book. And by that, I don't mean like where they end up at the end of the novel physically, but rather I realized that each character really grew tremendously throughout the novel. And really, since the beginning of the series, our characters, I think, made the most growth within this book. It made the characters feel more real to me. A lot of them, like I mentioned, went through these like cycles of understanding themselves. Percy Jackson is not the only one in the book that has an existential crisis, even though he's the only one I kind of brought up in this vlog. But it made me feel like the characters are reaching a point where their inevitable battle with Gaia and the giants and the titans feels real. They feel like they've matured, they feel like they've gotten better and trained, and they just feel stronger than they did at the beginning of the series. And I feel like that's quite a difference to what we saw with Percy Jackson. With Percy Jackson, he always like had that year break of school that we never saw. We never saw Percy grow, so he kind of feels like a similar character every time because we're not watching this like everyday growth with him. However, with this book, it really takes place over the course of what feels like a couple of months. So this growth feels more present, it feels more prominent in the novel, and because we're following so many individual characters, we're getting to see their shift in dynamics and shifting in the way that they think together. I have 2 spoiler-filled thoughts. I feel like if you're watching it to this point, you've probably read the book. So the first spoiler I have is what you saw in the last clip. The last line of the book that Percy says, Bob says hello. Not ready for that. That was unnecessary. I didn't need that. I didn't need to cry at the end of reading this book. And then the second spoiler I have, do not talk to me about Nico. Do not talk to me how he was forcefully outed by Eros/Cupid before he was ready. My broody little emo baby did not deserve that. And while it makes sense for the pain that Nico has felt probably since the Percy Jackson series, why he's always been this like broody little demon, makes sense. And like, yes, this novel came out in like 2013, so I kind of understand like we didn't have the discussions about like forcefully outing people. I definitely think the representation for kids is important. Obviously, seeing a demigod come out of the closet, experience feelings that they might be feeling is really important. I think he could have came out on his own time. He was essentially forced. I feel bad for my little broody baby, but we will move forward. We will go from here. I think him having a crush on Percy is really cute. I think it emphasizes just how much Percy means to a lot of people. So there's positives and negatives to this revelation in the series. However, this does make me excited for Nico's character moving forward. Nico is and continues to be one of my favorite characters in the series. So seeing where his story will go from here is something that I'm really looking forward to, especially because there will be a Nico book coming out next year. And I read the summary a little bit, so I know kind of what it entails, but how we get there is something I'm interested in, and I hope we touch upon it in the Blood of Olympus. So overall, I did really end up enjoying the House of Hades, even though it was quite a long journey. This is the thickest book in the Heroes of Olympus series. So it's no surprise there. I ended up giving it a 4 stars. I think there was some moments where it really dragged on that keeps me from giving it a 5 stars. But I ended up enjoying it regardless. If you have also read The House of Hades, whether it was this month or in the past, please let me know down below what you think about it. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Also, if you would like to follow me on any of my other social medias, I do leave a link down below to my Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram if you would like to follow me there. And of course, as usual, because it is the end of the vlog, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. I tell you every time, but it does wonders for my channel and makes me feel really good. And that's it. I never know how to end these things. Next month, we'll be finishing the Heroes of Olympus with the Blood of Olympus. Anyways, I will see you in my next video. Okay, bye.